everybody. I'm Katie Paris, and this is Uncorked. And I am so excited about who I have here with us tonight. Representative Dr. Jasmine Clark of the great state of Georgia, of the suburbs of Atlanta. You all are so into a treat. But first, let me just say, Jasmine, welcome.
Thank you so much, Katie, for having me on tonight. I'm looking forward to, just talking about all things Georgia and all things, suburban mom from in politics.
Oh, I feel you on all of that. And I also am appreciating your background. I just have to acknowledge from the start. I mean, cheers to you and those bottles of wine getting you through the eye of the storm here down there.
Yes.
In Georgia. Cheers.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, can you believe inauguration is in 35 days? It's finally closer. Inauguration is closer to us than election day. Election day is further behind us. That feels like a good turning point.
It does. However, it still feels really far away. I feel like a kid waiting for Christmas Day. I'm just ready.
And
I'm
even
ready
after you
for
get
so
Christmas.
many reasons.
And it's like you get Christmas Day in a minute, right? And then, by the way, I know your birthday's right after Christmas Day.
The day after Christmas. Yes, it
Christmas,
is.
baby. But then you still got to wait for January 5th, which is the Senate runoff election.
Yeah, I think that my big, day that I'm waiting for is honestly January 6th. Is the day after the runoff. It'll be the calm before the storm. That is January 20th, a good storm, like the storm we've been waiting for. But here in Georgia, we have been, pretty inundated. I think that's a good word to use. With political ads and people coming down to Georgia because it's such a historic election. It's so important. There are implications not just for Georgia but for the entire nation. The balance of the Senate is in our hands,
which is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. We went from being one of those states that, were reliably red enough that no one paid us that much attention to now being the state where everyone is giving us all the attention. And I'm not exactly sure which one I prefer anymore.
Oh my gosh, I bet. I mean, because those ads, that's intense. The attention is intense. So, yeah. Jasmine, I just need to let everybody know, how amazing you are. Okay. Listen. Okay. So Jasmine ran for the Georgia State Legislature in 2018. Okay. She goes up against this older white male Republican incumbent. Okay. And she goes, yeah, I'm going to do this. I can do this. I'm going to run. 2018. She wins by several hundred votes in a district outside of Atlanta, one of these suburban districts that just represents the change that is happening in Georgia. Okay, so not only, though, is she a new legislator, okay, on top of this, Jasmine's got kids, she's a mom, she's a suburban mom, and she's also a microbiologist, okay, which I don't think you could have possibly predicted how extreme. I mean, good to have the science expertise in a legislative body, but I can't, you weren't anticipating a global pandemic. So
I was not.
So this just makes you a superhero, a suburban mom who flipped your seat, first Black woman to ever serve your district. So inspiring, and doing it all, as a microbiologist as well with such significant expertise. So then Jasmine goes and she runs for her seat again in 2020. Tell me if I got any of this wrong, because
you're right on track. You're right on track.
The story is amazing to me. This time, the mayor, another white older dude, the mayor of her own town decides to quit being mayor to run against her. Hey,
after he had just gotten elected, he had not even been elected 2 months, and he quit.
Yeah. So his purpose now becomes, okay, yeah, I guess I'll take that little lady Jasmine out, right? Runs, she wins by way more, 10 times as many votes as she did in 2018. I love it. It's just it's poetic. It's poetic, Jasmine. So that's the story. That's why you're amazing, but there's so much more. I want to hear, we're going to talk about Georgia and what it's going to take to flip Georgia in terms of this Senate, because already Georgia played such a pivotal role in the presidential. But before we get to that, Jasmine, like, what led a microbiologist, suburban mom, to get into politics, to decide to run for office? People want to know.
It's a really good question. It's a question that I even had to ask myself as I was signing up to run for office. The short of it is when Donald Trump got elected in 2016, one of the first things he did right out of the gate, we just talked about January 20th. One of the first things Donald Trump did on his first day in office was to go after climate science. He immediately attacked the science community. And, it was just one of those things where, in general, scientists, we have to be involved in politics a little bit, but for the most part, we kind of try to stay out of that stuff. We want to get our bench work done. We want to get our results. We want to make our conclusions. We want to contribute to the body of science. But in that moment, we realized we could not be silent. We could not sit idly by and allow science to go under attack. Even though I'm in microbiology, I'm not in climate science, I still felt personally attacked because, why was he going after the science community? Why is he attacking the CDC? Why is he trying to censor what words can be used by different departments? And so, on the heels of the Women's March, the scientists decided to have a march. Yes. And we had the March for Science. It was on Earth Day in 2017. So April of 2017, there was a science march pretty much in every state.
Now, had you done that before? Had you done anything like that before? Gotten involved in marching?
No, not at all.
Okay. All right.
But I ended up being democratically chosen to direct the Atlanta March for Science. That was the first time that I realized just how many other people cared as much as I did. 10,000 people converged onto Candler Park in 2017 to march in the name of science-based or evidence-based policy making, and more. And I think that was kind of the catalyst. That was kind of the thing that got me to realize that I have a voice. I need to use it. And one way that I can use it is by getting a seat at the decision-making table. So I decided to run for office.
I mean, okay, so you run for office. This is an incredible story of the opponents you took on, who I'm sure thought, oh yeah, I got this, right?
Yes.
But instead, like, you just got to share, like, do you have any stories from the campaign trail that sort of represent, like, I just love the idea of them being like, oh, wait a minute, I've got a race on my hands here. Shit,
Well, I definitely think that my opponent in 2018 had no idea what was coming. I do think that I was extremely underestimated. And to be honest, one of the things I will say is I had even a little bit of imposter syndrome myself. I mean, here I was, a scientist going into politics, and I didn't have those political connections. I didn't have a whole bunch of lawyer friends that could write me, huge checks to my campaign account. I was in a completely different lane. And so, I had to be my genuine self on the campaign trail. That's all I could be. I couldn't be anyone else. I was not trained for this. I was not groomed for this. I did this literally out of a sense of responsibility. And so as I went on the campaign trail, that's how I spoke to people. I just spoke to people as Dr. Jasmine Clark. And one of the things I remember is going to someone's house and them telling me, I don't know how you got my name or how you got my address, but I don't vote. I don't take part in those things. And I said, well, why not? And they're like, I just don't see what it does. I don't see the point of it. And so I just asked, I said, well, I can understand you feeling that way. Can you just answer, how many times has the person running against me who's already your representative, how many times have they come and knocked on your door and just talked to you? And they were like, never. I was like, how many times have you even seen them in this neighborhood? How many times have they reached out to you or your neighbors? And they're like, never. And I was like, well, I am here. And I am asking you for a vote. And the truth is, because of the way this district is made and because of the numbers, I probably won't win if you don't vote for me. I literally could win by 1 or 2 votes. And so I really, really need your vote. And I was serious about that. Like every person I talked to, I said, you might be the person that gets me over the hill. And then when I, on election night, as the numbers were coming in, I was losing. And the precinct where that guy lived was one of the last precincts he reported. And that was one of the precincts that got me over the top to where I actually won on election night. And so I'm so thankful that I took the approach of every single solitary vote counted. Like that's just the way I approached the campaign. And I think it worked out for me very well.
Yeah, it did. You won. I mean, so it was about showing up and it was about listening, like it's just, and this is like why we need more women running for office and in office, because I'm going to guess that you approach your job as a legislator the exact same way,
Absolutely.
And we don't have enough of that listening.
Absolutely.
Jasmine, I have to ask you too, what I hear so often from women who have, they're running for office for the first time. Now you've done it twice.
Yeah.
They talk about how other women who stepped up and said, I got you, was that true for you too? Women who said, you're saying, I've never done this before. I'm going to need some help. Who stepped up? What was that experience?
So many people did. I ran for office at a time where a lot of people were running for office for the first time. And a lot of people who had non-political backgrounds were running for office at the same time. People like Shelley Hutchinson was running in House District 107, which is right next to mine. My friend Emily Leslie, she ran a write-in campaign in House District 106 that was, on the other side of me. At the time, our county party had a lot of people that were just willing to step up and help us however they could. Honestly, Stacey Abrams was very, helpful. She was running her own race, but she also was helpful in, the coordinated campaign. And, it was just, it was like I was running my race because I had to run my race, but we also helped each other. We lifted each other up. And sometimes it was as simple as like, what is this thing that I'm supposed to be doing? What is this event that I'm supposed to be going to? Who's going to be there? What should I do? Who did you get your business cards from? Who are you using for mail? All those tiny things that add up and really, really, truly help you get through the campaign, get through the election, because it's a tough road. It's a tough road to be on. You definitely don't want to be on it alone.
Well, I gotta think being on the ballot with Stacey Abrams too was something to keep those spirits lifted. What a time!
She's amazing. Like she is literally amazing. Yeah,
she's a genius. It is a big deal to run for office, and on top of everything else you are juggling, Jasmine, we really like to, talk to women about like you bring your whole self to this, and that takes a lot. What do you do though to like stay sane, like to recharge, to, I think that's so important for women to hear that as well. What do you do?
So I do a mixture of things. When I can, I like to pick up a book. I love reading. I like to read fiction, usually like the kind of like mystery action type of book. I love watching movies. My favorite is sci-fi. And so every now and then I just want to like, lay in bed and watch a movie. But I think the biggest thing that I do and the most fun thing that I do is just hang out with my kids. They give me so much life. My daughter is 12. My son is 14. And my daughter's an athlete, so I go to her basketball games or go to her track meets. We didn't really get to do that a lot this year. Right. But, it's just, I think they like, just hanging out with them, trying to learn new TikTok dances that I still can't quite figure out. And, just, I don't know. I just like to relax. I also have a new dog. Her name is Stella, and sometimes when I just need to like get away, I'll just strap her leash on and we'll go out. And she's such a nice person, or nice little dog. She, wherever I want to go, no matter how far I want to go, she's like, all right, I guess we're walking 3 miles today, and she just goes along with it. So
you got a sidekick.
Yeah, so, I do.
Tell me, with those kids, do they think the whole like being a state rep thing, is that helping your cool factor as a mom, or is it more like, oh geez, no, it's just like embarrassing, mom? Like how where do they land?
I feel like in 2018 when I ran the first time, it was like super cool. And then and my daughter, she was on the campaign trail with me all the time. Like she had a clipboard and a blazer on, and she's asking people to sign up to volunteer. Like that was her. For Halloween in 2018, my daughter dressed up as me. She put on a pair of glasses and a name badge and a blazer and put her hair up in a bun. So like, I was really cool.
It does not get any better than that.
That is amazing. In 2020, I think it lost its, it wasn't as cool, but they still think it's really cool. Now they're trying to push me to run for something else. And I'm like, oh no, I'm not doing that. Not right now, at least.
Okay, so I'm going to get with your kids. I'm going to like team up with your kids and see what we can do to make that happen, because I'm a believer in that.
Yeah, they're pushing really hard. They're like, Mom, when are we going to Washington, D.C.? And I'm like, I don't know about that.
Hey, you guys, I told you. Watch out for Dr. Jasmine Clark. Okay, so I really want to ask you about this. All right, we know during the general election, Trump used these like racist dog whistles specifically targeted at trying to get suburban women to vote for him. And, get the suburbs, combined with people of color in the suburbs and in cities and every area across the country and the state, young people of all races statewide in Georgia were key to Biden's win, right? And okay, so you're a suburban mom. And now we have Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue doing very divisive politics, the racist dog whistles going on with Reverend Warnock.
Really horrible. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think that these divisive tactics will work? Particularly, I'm interested in your perspective on that, as a suburban woman.
I think they are insulting to people's intelligence. I think that the division and the language that they use on purpose, it is offensive to my neighbors and myself. When you talk about those people moving into your neighborhood, well, my next door neighbor is from India. Another neighbor is from Mexico. Another neighbor is from Colombia. Another neighbor is from Vietnam. Who are those people? Because I have a beautifully diverse neighborhood, and we share with each other. We talk to each other. We love the neighborhood that we have together. We don't feel like it needs to be this homogenous zone. Honestly, when they're saying those things, they're talking about me, people who look like me, and saying my neighbors don't want to live by someone that looks like me. And that's just not true. I don't know. I know that there are probably some places in the United States where that might be true. But what I will say is around here in Metro Atlanta, we value our diversity. It is a part of our fabric. And so, to use these, this identity politics in a way to try to dog whistle people into being afraid of who might move next door to them, it just doesn't work around here. It's not a winning message, as we can see. It's not a winning message. No one, everyone knows what Kelly Loeffler is doing when she uses words like thug and gangster in her ads about Raphael Warnock. Meanwhile, Raphael Warnock has run an excellent campaign with ads that talk about what he wants to do for Georgians and, what he will do in the Senate. And I think, if you just juxtapose the two ads, which if you live here, that's exactly what happens. His ad comes on, her ad comes on. And you just see the contrast and you can just see what she's doing. I honestly do not know what Kelly Loeffler actually wants to do if she gets to the Senate, other than support Trump. But Trump is no longer our president. So I genuinely have no idea what her actual goals are, her aspirations are. All I know is that she wants me to be scared of the Black guy. And so that just doesn't work around here. Yep. And again, it's insulting. It's insulting.
Well, I think you just said it so well. And I think that we saw these kinds of attacks not only not work, but I want to say backfire.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because, for fear to work, it has to resonate and land with my lived experience, right?
Right.
But if instead you have this, especially in these Atlanta suburbs, this increasing diversity in what people know, there's just this huge disconnect between this image that Trump and Perdue and Loeffler are projecting. Right. It's like, wait a minute, no, that's not what it is here. And then meanwhile, I'm actually hearing a vision, something that's positive, finally, from Reverend Warnock and John Ossoff. So I think that's really exciting to me to hear how it's playing there, because we know that this diverse coalition that it took to flip Georgia, we need that again, right? We need that turnout. We need these voters to show up just like
again?
Before.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's why Red, Wine, and Blue, we were like, hey, Georgia, what can we do to help? We got lots of suburban women in our network. Let's support these Georgia suburban women, women in other states who live in these areas. We want to support you too. And it's just, you're making me just feel the urgency, how important this is, and the opportunity. Though,
yeah. And the opportunity is definitely there. Like I said, January 5th is coming, but even after that, we will still need the support. A lot of people don't realize we run for office every 2 years. And so keeping up with what we're doing and how we're doing and finding out like how you can support. I love when people who live in like solidly blue districts find that district that they can help and kind of boost up. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah, totally. And I just have a feeling you are going to continue to be leading the way here. I know that, we talked about how you said, I'm tired of being first. I want to be,
Well, I think let's be honest. It's really exciting when we're like the first this and the first that, but at the same time, it's bittersweet to me. I'm like, why is it 2020 and this country has been born for hundreds of years. And the civil rights movement has happened decades ago. And yet we are just now having these firsts. And it's just mind boggling to me. I celebrate them. I love that it is finally happening, but it is sad to me that it took so long.
Yep, that's right. So we got to keep making it happening. So it just becomes past. Like, oh yeah, that was new. It's not new anymore.
Yes.
Jasmine, we talk a lot here about finding our voices, using those voices. I'm so curious what it's been like as a microbiologist and how that's influenced your voice as a legislator. I know the attacks on science was your inspiration for originally getting involved in all this. Now we're in the middle of a global pandemic, and I think I'm just particularly interested because so much of the talk in our groups right now is concern about moms who really care about science and all the misinformation that's now coming about vaccines, about COVID precautions. Do you have advice to other moms who, like yourself, may not be microbiologists, but really care about science, just navigating what is coming at us?
It's hard. And I say that because I am just a realistic person. It's really hard when there's so much information out there And for whatever reason, which I feel like a whole scientific study needs to be done just on this alone, the misinformation seems to take on a form like a giant. And you're and at a time where we need all the good information to be out there, we find ourselves playing defense against this misinformation machine that has found a way to just get legs and just take on a form of its own. So, when it comes to things like masks, like I never would have thought that we would have this whole war on just putting a mask on, a thing that if you go to the dentist, you expect your dentist to put on a mask. Right. If you go to the doctor, you expect your doctor to put on a mask. Like, masks have never been seen as like this symbol of oppression or anything until all of a sudden it was. And, that single pretty inexpensive thing that could have helped us curb the spread of this virus turned into a political statement. And once it turned into a political statement, it took on a life of its own. And then you've got the vaccine where, and even I can admit the vaccine came about really quickly compared to other vaccines. But it's not unheard of for medicines to come about quickly in times of emergency. That does happen. And we also have to realize in science, a lot of times things are happening in science for years and years and years that people who aren't in the sciences don't know about because they're not reading scientific journals. They're not reading New England Journal of Medicine. They're not reading Nature, and they're not reading these scientific journals. And if the media is not covering it, you just don't know that all this research is being done. Like the research I did in my PhD project and in my postdoc project, that didn't make national news, but it still contributed to the body of science. And so what I would say about the vaccine is while it is technically a newer type of vaccine, it's not like they just conceptualized this summer. Like that's not how it happened. This idea, this concept has been worked on for years and years. And now we're employing it and using it this way. And then, yes, in an emergency situation, we can fast track things. And so to your question about what you can do, the best possible thing you can do is just equip yourself with good information to try to push back against the misinformation. Kind of just keeping up with what's being said, follow scientists and who are talking about these things knowledgeably, and be ready to share the good information when the bad information is out there. And just understand that historically speaking, it is not new for people to push back against things like this. This happens, 102 years ago in 1918, when the 1918 flu pandemic happened. Believe it or not, there were anti-maskers then. There are people who said, no, I will not wear masks. There are people who were against staying inside. And I do not believe there was a vaccine at that time, but there were just people who kind of just pushed back against any measures that could have helped stop the spread, which meant that virus was able to wreak havoc through the community for almost 2 years. Hopefully we're not in that position, but unfortunately, the social experiment on acting as a community in the best interest of our neighbors, we don't do that so well here in the United States, unfortunately. And so, we just got to keep trying our best to get the best information out there.
Jasmine, I want to keep talking with you about this and working on this. I think that there is an opportunity,
right?
Especially for, women who are engaged in our communities, moms who are talking to other moms all the time, for us to get off defense. And to be on offense out there as trusted messengers.
Yeah, just got to push it. You have to push the information out. and be a resource or share the resources out there. Like as much information as misinformation is out there, we've got to put the good information out there too.
And do it in a way that people can hear. You know, there's so much noise and people do have questions. And so like, let's create space for conversations that can be productive, right? Rather than it just becoming something that is not. But let's work on that, right? Like, let's keep.
Let's do it. Like, no, I mean, I think that's really important. It is very important.
Okay, because I think we need to do this, and I really need a microbiologist in my brain trust. Like, as we figure out how to make the moms like the on offense, trusted brain force. You know,
we gotta become a giant, just like they have. Yes. Like, you gotta we gotta elevate the good information. Yes.
Okay, I'm so ready. Hey, if you could win that district, we can do anything. We can take on the world.
So if I can win like 10 times more than the first time, we can make this happen.
Hell yeah. Yes. All right, Jasmine, our time is up. I'm just gonna ask you one final question as we go out tonight. Okay. So because you've got the wine theme going with your backdrop, the person you would most like to get a glass of wine with, they could be alive or dead. Let us know. Who would it be?
All right. Sorry, there was a little bit of a delay. Honestly, I would love to sit down with Michelle Obama and have a glass of wine. I admire her so much, and I read her book, and I feel like we would be friends. Me too. I really do. I feel like if she just met me and she like knew me, we would be friends.
I mean, you kind of feel like she's missing out in her life, just like day to day, because you're not yet. I mean,
I'm like, Michelle, call me. I'm telling you, we will be buddies and we will have so much fun and have great conversations. So yeah, I mean, I admire her. I admire her journey. I admire her spirit, and some of the things that she went through, being the first lady of the United States, and just how she just pushed through those things. I just admire her, and I would love to sit down and chat with her.
Yeah, she can be on our True squad as well.
Yeah. Like, yes, we need people like her. I mean,
oh my gosh, so much. We need so much, Michelle.
Michelle.
All right. Well, you know what? I see this for your future. You know, I think it's going to happen. Dr. Jasmine Clark, Michelle Obama. It's going to happen meeting one day. All right. Okay, Jasmine, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. It was
thank you for inviting me.
Well, such a privilege to get to introduce you to our communities. And I mean, truly, you're such an inspiration. And I can't wait to continue to be in touch and work together and just like watch your star continue to rise.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you to the Uncorked audience for, allowing me to, take 30 minutes of your time to just like hang out. I really do appreciate you, Katie, and I appreciate Uncorked Red Wine and Blue. And, anytime, let's work.
Great. Thanks, Jasmine. And if anybody's not involved yet, click on the link above us. Get involved in Georgia. Jasmine made it clear we need every last one of us.
All of you. Bye.
Bye.